Level 1. The Lookout. You're 14 years old. You stand on a street corner in Medellin, watching for police. That's your entire job. Watch and whistle. When you see a patrol car turn onto your street, you whistle twice. When you see plainclothes officers walking too slowly, looking around too carefully, you whistle 3 times. When you see military vehicles with soldiers carrying automatic weapons, you run. You do this for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, in the rain and the heat and the dead of night. You make $50 a month. It's more money than your father makes at the factory, when he can find work at all. It's more than your mother makes cleaning houses for rich people on the other side of the city. Your friends from school think you're lucky. They're jealous. They want to know how to get a job like yours. Your mother doesn't know what you do. You tell her you work at a grocery store, stocking shelves in the back where customers never see you. She wants to believe you, so she doesn't ask questions. You stand on that corner in the sweltering afternoon sun, watching the older guys cruise by on motorcycles that cost more than your house. They have gold chains thick as fingers and leather jackets and women who look like they belong in music videos. You want to be them. You dream about being them. You don't know yet that most of them will be dead before they turn 30. You don't know that the motorcycle and the gold chain and the beautiful women are just bait on a hook. You don't know that you're standing at the bottom of a ladder built entirely on corpses. You just know that $50 is more than zero, and watching is easy. You're good at watching. You've been watching your whole life. Watching from the outside while the rich people live in their gated communities and the politicians make speeches about equality that mean nothing. Level 2. The Runner. You proved yourself. 6 months on the corner without a single mistake. You whistled when you should have whistled. You ran when you should have run. You kept your mouth shut when the police grabbed you by the collar, slammed you against a wall, and demanded to know who you worked for. You didn't say a word. You took the beating and said nothing. Now you're trusted with product. Small amounts at first. A few grams of cocaine tucked into your underwear, hidden in the sole of your shoe, concealed in a hollowed-out textbook. You deliver to customers in apartment buildings across the city, in nightclubs that don't open until midnight, in parking garages where men in suits hand you cash without making eye contact. You're fast. You know the streets better than any map could show you. You know which alleys connect to which buildings have back exits that nobody watches, which rooftops you can jump between if you don't think too hard about the drop. You know which cops can be bribed with $100, and which ones will shoot you in the back and plant a gun on your body and tell the newspapers you were armed. You make $200 a month now. You buy your first pair of real sneakers, the ones with the brand name that all the kids at school recognize. You buy your mother a new stove because the old one only works half the time, and she burns her fingers on the broken burner. She hugs you and cries and doesn't ask where the money came from. You deliver cocaine to lawyers in high-rise offices with views of the mountains. You deliver to doctors in private clinics with marble floors. You deliver to politicians in gated mansions with guards at the entrance. You see their faces when they open the door, the way their hands shake slightly, the shame and the hunger and the relief all mixed together. You realize something important that day. Drugs don't discriminate. The rich need them just as much as the poor. Maybe more. The rich have more to escape from. They have higher expectations to meet. They have appearances to maintain. Level 3. The Street Dealer. You have your own corner now, your own territory that everyone knows belongs to you. Your own regular customers who know your face and trust the quality of your product. You have your own runners working under you, kids just like you were 2 years ago, standing on corners and watching for police. You're 16 years old and you have employees. You're running a business before you're old enough to drive legally. You wake up at noon and count money until the sun goes down, sorting bills by denomination, bundling them with rubber bands. Then you work the night shift, standing on your corner, selling grams and 8-balls to whoever has cash. No credit, no IOUs, cash only. You learn the economics of the drug trade better than any business school could teach you. You buy a kilo of pure cocaine for $2,000 from the supplier who trusts you now. You break it down into grams, cut it carefully with baby laxative or baking soda to stretch the supply without ruining the quality. Package it in tiny plastic bags that you seal with a lighter, and sell it piece by piece for $15,000 total. That's a 700% profit margin. No legitimate business in the world comes close to that. You also learn the risks that come with those profits. A rival crew shoots at you one night outside a club where you were celebrating your 17th birthday. The bullet misses your head by 3 inches. You feel the wind of it passing your ear like a whisper from death. You hear it crack into the wall behind you. You can't go to the police because you're a drug dealer. You can't go to a hospital because they ask questions and take reports. You dig the bullet out of the wall yourself, with a knife in your bare fingers, and you keep it in your pocket as a reminder. This is the life you chose when you started whistling on that corner. There's no customer service line to call when things go wrong. There's no quitting. There's no going back to a normal life. You're in this until you're dead or locked up. Those are the only exits. Level 4. The Enforcer. You've proven you can sell. You've proven you can manage people. You've proven you can keep your mouth shut under pressure. Now you have to prove something else. You have to prove you can hurt. The organization needs people who can collect debts that words can't collect. People who can protect shipments worth millions of dollars. People who can send messages that can't be sent with phone calls or letters. Your first job is to beat a man who owes money. $3,000, 90 days overdue. He keeps promising to pay and keeps breaking his promises. You find him at a bar on the south side of the city, spending money he claims not to have, buying drinks for friends, laughing like he doesn't have a care in the world. You wait until he goes to the bathroom. You follow him in. You break his arm with a baseball bat, clean and quick, the way you were taught. One swing. The bone snaps like a dry branch. He screams and falls and begs. You tell him 3 days. You tell his friends to tell everyone what happens to people who don't pay what they owe. The money appears the next morning, in full, with an apology and a promise that it will never happen again. Your second job is worse, much worse. A dealer has been skimming product, selling extra on the side, keeping money in cocaine that belongs to the organization. This is theft. This is betrayal. You're told to make an example. You don't want to know what that means, but you learn. You spend 3 hours in an abandoned warehouse with tools you never imagined using on another human being. Pliers, a blowtorch, things that will haunt your dreams for the rest of your life. Afterwards, you throw it behind a dumpster until there's nothing left in your stomach but bile. You tell yourself it was necessary. You tell yourself you knew the rules and broke them anyway. You tell yourself that if you hadn't done it, someone would have done it to you for refusing. The next time is easier. The time after that, you barely think about it. By the 10th time, you feel nothing at all. You become the thing that mothers warn their children about when they tell them to stay away from the bad men. You're 19 years old and you've forgotten what mercy feels like. You're not sure you ever knew. Level 5. The Plaza Boss. You control a neighborhood now. A plaza. Everything that moves through your territory, every gram of cocaine, every bundle of marijuana, every pill and powder, you get a cut of. The street dealers report to you every night with their earnings. The enforcers answer to your commands. You have a crew of 30 people who depend on your decisions, your protection, your judgment about who lives and who dies, and who gets promoted and who gets punished. You make $10,000 a month, more money than your parents will make in years. You buy a car with tinted windows so dark that nobody can see inside. You buy an apartment in a building with a doorman and security cameras and a view of the city lights. You buy a gold chain so thick and heavy it looks like it could anchor a boat. Women look at you differently now. Respect or fear. You can't tell the difference anymore, and you're not sure it matters. You also have targets painted on every part of your body. Other plaza bosses want your territory because it's profitable and strategically located. The police want your head because you've embarrassed them publicly, made them look incompetent. Rival cartels from other cities want you eliminated because you're cutting into their market share, taking customers that used to be theirs. You sleep in a different location every night, never the same place twice in a row. You trust no one completely, not your lieutenants, not your childhood friends, not even your own mother, because you know that if someone kidnapped her, they could use her to get to you. Your childhood friends are either dead from overdoses or violence, in prison serving long sentences, or working for you with titles and salaries. There's no one left who knew you before all this, who remembers the skinny kid who used to play soccer in the streets and dream about becoming a professional player. That boy doesn't exist anymore. You're a businessman now. Your product just happens to destroy lives and tear apart families. But you don't think about that. You can't afford to think about that. Level 6. The Lieutenant. The bosses above you noticed your work. Your plaza runs smoothly and profitably. Your violence is efficient and controlled, never excessive, never wasteful. Your loyalty has never wavered, never given them a moment's doubt. They promote you to lieutenant. Now you oversee multiple plazas across the entire city. Dozens of crews with hundreds of workers reporting up through a chain of command that ends with you. You coordinate shipments coming in from the countryside, manage supply chains that stretch across borders, resolve disputes between lower-level plaza bosses who hate each other and want to kill each other over insults and territory. You attend meetings in safe houses with men who control more money than most corporations trade in a year. You wear a suit now instead of street clothes. You speak softly and carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that a single word from his mouth can end lives. You learn about the true scope of the operation, the scale of what you're part of. The cocaine doesn't just come from Colombian farms. It comes from labs deep in the jungles of Peru and Bolivia, processed with chemicals smuggled from factories in Germany and the Netherlands, shipped through Venezuela and Panama and Mexico, using routes that corrupt officials have kept open for decades. The logistics are more complex than any Fortune 500 company's supply chain. You're part of something that spans continents, that corrupts governments, that moves billions of dollars annually through the invisible channels of the global shadow economy. You're also trapped more completely than ever before. Lieutenants who try to leave the organization don't retire to peaceful beaches with their savings. They disappear into unmarked graves in the jungle. You know too much about too many important people. You've seen too many faces that the world can never see. The only way out is up, to the very top where you make the rules, or down, into the earth where your secrets die with you. Level 7, the Regional Boss. You control an entire region now. Multiple cities across hundreds of kilometers of territory. Thousands of people working under your command in dozens of different roles. Millions of dollars flow through your hands every single month. More money than you could count even if you spent all day counting. You don't touch product anymore. That work is beneath you now, for lower level people who still have something to prove. You don't handle violence personally anymore. You have entire teams of specialists for that, men who do nothing but solve problems that require force. Your job now is pure strategy, where to expand next, which markets are underserved, which competitors are weak, who to bribe and how much it will cost to keep them loyal. Which politicians to support with campaign donations and favorable coverage, which police commanders to put on the payroll, which judges to compromise with money or blackmail, which rivals to negotiate with, and which ones to destroy completely, down to the last cousin and nephew, so thoroughly that their names become warnings. You live in a compound surrounded by armed guards with military training and armored vehicles that can survive grenades. Your children attend private schools in Europe, under different names, where nobody knows their father's real business. Your wife wears diamonds that could feed an entire village for years. You've made it to a level of success beyond anything you could have imagined as a kid, standing on a corner whistling. But you can't enjoy a moment of it. Every meal could be poisoned by a cook on someone's payroll. Every car could contain a bomb planted by a rival. Every friend could be an informant wearing a wire for the Americans or the Colombian government. You haven't slept more than 4 hours at a time in years. You're 42 years old, and doctors tell you that your heart and blood pressure are those of a 60-year-old man. The stress is killing you slowly, day by day. The money means nothing if you can't spend it without constant fear. The power means nothing if you can't relax for even a single moment. You're a prisoner in a mansion built on the blood of thousands. Level 8, the Cartel Council. You sit at the table now with the founders, the legendary men who built this empire from nothing in the 1980s, when cocaine first became gold. There are 7 of you on the council. Together, you control roughly 30% of the world's cocaine supply. You make decisions in conference rooms that affect the lives of millions of people across dozens of countries on multiple continents. You set wholesale prices that determine whether coca farmers in Bolivia and Peru eat well or starve. You choose which smuggling routes to use, which governments need more bribery money, which enemies need to be destroyed, and which ones can be absorbed into the organization. The meetings are surprisingly formal, almost corporate in their structure. There are printed agendas, votes on major decisions, minutes kept by lawyers who are paid enough to forget everything they hear the moment they leave the room. It would almost be funny, this imitation of legitimate business, if the stakes weren't measured in human lives. Disagreements at this level of power don't end with raised voices or hurt feelings. They end with wars that kill thousands of people, that make international headlines, that bring military helicopters into the jungle. Men sitting at this very table have started conflicts that lasted years and destroyed entire communities. You've ordered deaths without a second thought. You've had families erased. You've toppled local governments that got in your way. You don't think about the bodies anymore. You can't afford the luxury of conscience. The moment you start counting the dead is the moment you lose the edge that got you to this table. Level 9, the cartel boss. One of the original founders is gone. Heart attack, according to the official story. Poison slipped into his drink by someone at this very table, according to the whispers. No one will ever know the truth, and no one dares to ask. His empty seat is now yours. You're one of 3 men who run the entire cartel. 40,000 employees across operations in 12 countries. Annual revenue of $15 billion that never appears on any tax form. Active operations on every continent except Antarctica. You're more powerful than most national governments. You're richer than most countries' treasuries. You have judges and prosecutors in your pocket who dismiss cases with a phone call. You have generals on your payroll who redirect military operations away from your shipments. You have presidents and prime ministers who take your calls at 3 in the morning and do what you ask. You could buy a small country outright and no one would dare to stop you. But you're also the most wanted man in the Western Hemisphere. The American DEA has a $50 million bounty on your head, dead or alive. The Colombian government has dedicated 100,000 soldiers and police specifically to finding and killing you. You change locations every 48 hours, never staying anywhere long enough to be tracked. You communicate only through coded messages carried by runners you've known and trusted since childhood. You haven't hugged your children in 3 years. You watch them grow up through photographs and videos delivered by trusted messengers. Your wife lives in another country entirely for her own safety and theirs. This is the price of being at the very top of the pyramid. You have everything any person could want, and you have nothing that makes life worth living. You're a ghost wearing a crown. Level 10, the legend. You've survived longer than anyone thought possible. 20 years at the peak of power while everyone around you has been killed by rivals, captured by authorities, or betrayed by people they trusted. They write songs about you now, corridos that play on radio stations across Latin America, ballads that make you sound like a hero. They make television shows about your life, with actors pretending to be you while real bullets fly in the streets outside the studios. Children in the slums of Medellin and Cali wear t-shirts printed with your face. You're not just a criminal anymore. You've become a myth. A symbol of something larger than any individual life. The poor people see you as a Robin Hood who took from corrupt governments and built hospitals, schools, and soccer fields in neighborhoods that the legitimate authorities forgot existed. The rich see you as a monster who corrupted their beautiful country and stained its soil with blood. The truth is somewhere in between those stories. buried under so many layers of lies and legends that even you don't remember anymore what's real and what's invented. You're 60 years old now. You've survived 3 heart attacks that should have killed you. You've buried 4 wives who couldn't handle the stress, and 2 children who were murdered by enemies who wanted to hurt you in the worst way possible. You have more money hidden in accounts around the world than you could spend in 1,000 lifetimes. None of it matters. You're exhausted in a way that sleep can't fix. You're alone in a way that no amount of bodyguards can change. You're waiting for the bullet or the handcuffs that you've known were coming since you were 14 years old, standing on that corner. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, but coming. The end arrives on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. You're in a safe house eating dinner when you hear helicopters approaching. Then automatic gunfire erupting all around the building. Then boots pounding on the stairs, coming up fast. You could surrender. You could raise your hands and spend whatever remains of your life in an American supermax prison, giving interviews, writing memoirs, becoming a celebrity prisoner. But that's not how legends end. You grab your pistol. You walk toward the door. The last thing you see is the muzzle flash of a dozen rifles firing at once. They'll find your body on the rooftop where you make your last stand. They'll take photographs that will circle the globe within hours. They'll parade your corpse on television while politicians give speeches about justice and the rule of law. For 1 week, you'll be the biggest story in the world. And then the world will forget, the way it always forgets. New cartels will rise from the ashes of yours. New bosses will take your place at the table. New children will start standing on street corners, watching for police, dreaming of gold chains and fast motorcycles and beautiful women. Somewhere in Medellin right now, a 14-year-old boy is being offered $50 a month to stand on a corner and whistle. The cycle begins again.